views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most inspired visionaries on the planet in lighthearted, lively dialogue. Join us as we explore the expansive nature of reality in a down-to-earth way, offering you insights and tools, empowering you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Now, here's your host, Christine Upchurch.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Christine Upchurch Show, where we have stellar conversations to illuminate your journey. I'm speaking to you today from, cloudy, somewhat foggy Seattle. Surprise, surprise. Here at Hubbard Radio on K. I'm sorry, what?
That was my best attempt at a foghorn.
Well,
it was terrible.
Why don't you practice that a little bit more, Benny?
Thank you.
Okay.
That's all I needed.
Talking to you today from, I have no idea where.
See, I totally messed you up. I'm sorry.
AM 1150, KKNW, here at Hubbard Radio. You may be listening on the East Coast on WBLQ, AM 1230. You might be listening somewhere across the United States on cable radio network, somewhere on the various Australian stations, or anywhere around the world on Transformation Talk Radio. But wherever you're listening from today, we've got a great guest for you today. So stay tuned. But before I tell you who that is, in case you don't know already, I want to say hello to my better half here in the studio who allows you to hear these wonderful conversations, Mr. Benny Mathers.
Hey,
Hi,
Christine.
Benny.
I'm doing well. I'm not going to step on your toes anymore because, of course, we have an all-star guest here today. So we'll leave it at that, and with my poor attempt at a foghorn.
Oh, no. I really love that. I love the fact that sometimes you're not perfect because it gives me permission for the same.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well,
And I
try to be perfect for you.
And step away. You're not stepping on my toes, I'll tell you that.
We like to dance, though.
We do. We do. Mm-hmm. But before I get into the guest, I want to make a couple of announcements. Okay. First of all, I'm going to be on the Dr. Pat Show on Wednesday. I believe it's 11 a.m. Sorry, you'll have to check my website, ChristineUpchurch.com, to let me know. I'll show up, though, for sure. And we're going to be talking about how if you change your energy, you can change your life. And then a week from Monday on February 15th, which is a long weekend for most people, I will be speaking at the Women of Wisdom Conference on the vibration of change. So I'm hoping that for those of you in the Seattle area, if you want to look at change in a brand new way and empower yourself to create positive, lasting change, that you will attend on the 15th. And again, ChristineUpchurch.com will get you the links to the Women of Wisdom stuff and so on and so forth. But enough of those announcements because I'm so excited.
Told you.
We have James Van Praagh on, and I tell you, he was one of the people whose books shifted my life at that stage of my life when I was starting to open up to so much more. And it was exciting to expand. And he is, oh my gosh, he's internationally renowned. He's had #1 New York Times best-selling books, and he's written dozens of books, including Talking to Heaven, which is sort of was very, very instrumental in some of my shifting, and many others, including he's got a new one coming out, The Power of Love. He has been a pioneer in the mediumship movement, and he is recognized as one of the most accurate spiritual mediums, and his messages have brought peace and spiritual insights and solace, and he's helped millions around the world not only connect with their own loved ones, but to view life and death in a different way. He's appeared on, oh my gosh, everything, Oprah, Larry King Live, Dr. Phil, The View, Coast to Coast, so many others. And he was the host of his own nationally syndicated show, Beyond, which is still playing around the world. And he was the creator and executive producer of CBS's long-running series, The Ghost Whisperer, that starred Jennifer Love Hewitt. And he has recently launched a new school, and I'm not going to tell you about that yet because I'm going to let him tell you. I'd like to welcome James Van Praagh. Welcome, James.
Oh, thank you, Christine. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You know, it's, from my perspective, you not only sort of helped create like legitimacy to mediumship, you've helped people to understand that life and death aren't exactly as we think or as we fear. What was it on your journey that sort of opened you up to a broader perspective on reality?
Well, when I went to the first medium that I ever visited, which I did not necessarily believe in mediumship or really know anything about it, and in my early 20s, I went to a British medium. A friend really dragged me to go see this gentleman. And as soon as I walked in the room, he looked at me and he said, "You're a medium yourself." I thought he was kind of crazy. And but he went through and he gave me incredible detailed information from loved ones who passed over. And there was definitely something going on. And I'm naturally skeptical. I'm naturally left brain. And it just there were things that he said that no one would have known. So I really started my research as far as I'm someone who has to I'm a sponge to all different types of information. So I went to a local bookstore in Los Angeles called the Bodhi Tree.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
You've been to the Bodhi Tree. And of course, classic. And I would spend my weekends at the Bodhi Tree just reading as much as I could, just sitting down in the corner reading. And it spoke to my heart. It was something which resonated as truth to me. And I was raised Catholic. I've been around a lot of religions when I was growing up. But I never found anything that was that strong as far as it resonated with my heart and my soul, I guess you'd say.
Right.
And so I started to meditate. I started to really start looking at life in a little different way and a different viewpoint. And it seemed natural. It was natural. It made sense. And it really was at that point when I started to meditate that I opened up again to starting seeing people's colors, their auras, and knowing things psychically about them. And before you know it, I was able to see spirit standing right next to them, as I did as a child. I was very, very open as a child, seeing spirit all the time. So it came back to me in my early 20s, and that was the very beginning of it. And I knew once that experience happened, I could not look at life the same way.
Right.
You know?
And in one of your books, you're talking about the differences between soul and spirit. Now, I know a lot of people think that they're synonymous.
Right,
I can't spit out the words today. But I'm fascinated by your perspective on sort of the structure that exists. And I think it's very helpful if you could sort of share with our listeners, after all these decades and all these connections you've made and the knowingness that you have, what is this structure of the beyond, and what is the difference between soul and spirit?
Well, we have to recognize that we're living in a three-dimensional human world. So all our references, of course, will be of a three-dimensional knowingness, if you will, a reference point.
Yep.
So it's very hard to describe perfectly what's existing in the sixth dimension and the seventh dimension in three-dimensional terms.
Right.
So the closest, and believe me, I've asked Spirit, and they've showed me different things and given me insights. The closest thing I would say is the soul, which we all are these souls, is kind of like the container, if you will, of the spirit. So the spirit, so if we have a glass, the glass is a soul. If you put water in that glass, the water is the spirit.
Okay.
So your spirit is the essence. It's the breath of the soul, as I like to say.
Right.
Many people say, oh, they have such a lovely spirit. It's their essence. It's their personality. It's that energy. It's that sense. But the soul, if you will, is the human counterpoint. So the soul would be, if you will, a body on another level. We, of course, would see a solid body. So the body is like the container of the spirit.
That makes sense.
So that's not easy for people to understand sometimes. But when we do work with breath, the breath is our spirit. The breath is the spirit, but the container of the body is the soul. So it's very simple, and a lot of people interchange them, and I do it as well. So I felt in my last book, Adventures of Soul, it's important to point out the difference between the two, just so people have an idea of what that is.
Right. And I think it's very helpful to sort of understand that analogy, because it also helps to for us to perceive how we are, first of all the same and connected, but yet we have this uniqueness to us as well.
That's exactly right. So we all have the same energy. The two biggest illusions we have in this three-dimensional world, number one, death. We think there's a finality and there's an ending. And that's not true, because you can't stop energy from being. Energy doesn't cease to exist. So we have this. We do exist. There is no death. at all. And the other part of it is the illusion that we're separate from one another. There's a sense of being separate or alone, when in reality, when you go over to the other side of life, when you leave the body, when you release from the physical body, you realize, oh, my goodness, I'm connected to that person, that person. We're all connected with the same energy. Right. And I often say to people, it's like the sun, the sunlight. That sun hits every single part of the world. It's the same sunlight, but there are different parts of the world. There's one energy, one element that we all have. And really, I like to say people, if they could utilize the energy of love, which is really what we're made from, is love. That's what the connection is. The unifying force is love. And when we step away from that natural state of being of love, and we go into fear and the humanness of ourselves, it's not being true to who our essence is, which is love. Right. So fear is the opposite of love.
Right. So you said a moment ago that there is no death. Clearly something occurs. From your perspective, with all your experience as a medium, what is death?
So what death is, it's the release of the spirit. So just like driving a car, the car eventually keeps on going. It'll eventually break down. The same with this human body. I think that we are all these beautiful souls that come back to this earth world, and this is our school. And this is one of many, many schools. The earth is one of many, many, many schools. It's worlds within worlds within worlds. Now, this is something, Christine, which I hope you're sitting down, and I hope your listeners are listening, because when Spirit told me this, I almost fell down. And because just the enormity of it and the capacity and the expansion of it, when I asked them, what is the earth like on the scale of things that are, what is it like? And they said, James, for you to understand the earth is like a grain of sand on the beach compared to how many of the planets and solar systems and star systems. So the earth world really is a schoolroom that we souls come back to, one of many. And when our time is, we come back to learn various lessons. What are those lessons? About compassion or forgiveness or love or understanding or whatever that is. When the soul is finished learning its lesson, it graduates. And what that means is it leaves the body. It leaves the body, and then there's an awareness, if you will, an opening of consciousness when it leaves the body. The thing that people have to understand, it's very natural, and we've done it thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And we also leave our body at night. Our soul will actually leave the body at night and go over to the spiritual realms and see loved ones. We call them dreams or crossovers, and see our guides and our teachers. And sometimes, when we're just about to fall asleep and we shake, it's because the soul is not leaving the correct axis of the crown chakra.
Really?
The alignment is not right. Oh, yeah. Isn't that a trip?
Oh, that's so cool.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah.
So it comes right back in. And then when you leave, then you go to those spirit worlds, and you're not aware of it consciously. You're sleeping. But in the morning, sometimes you will have these, when you wake up into the conscious state, you will bring into that conscious state something about a remembrance of a dream. But it's not a dream because you think, wow, it was so real. I saw my loved ones. It was so real, and it was real. And your conscious is remembering that aspect, a little tiny aspect. So death is nothing. It's a release. And there's no pain in death whatsoever. There's no pain when the soul leaves that body. It's a release. There's a freedom. There's a joy. I've had so many spirits say, I'm so happy I'd be out of that body. I never want to go back to that body and have that disease and those health crises.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
And it's funny, after my mother passed, she was in kidney failure, and the hospice workers were really surprised at how long she lasted. I finally said to my brother, I think we need to leave the room. And when we came back, she had passed, but I just felt this sense of giddiness, like, so glad to be out of that body, yeah. And so it's so cool that you get to have that kind of connection with so many and get that indication, because that allows us as humans who sometimes go to our fear of things like death to sort of release that fear and trust that it will be a joyful experience.
Well, that's why that's the number one thing, Christine, that I love about this job or whatever the profession or whatever goals work, because if you can take away the fear of death, you really can begin to live life fully. Right. And that's really what it's about. You have no reason to be in fear. That's not our natural vibration. It's so human, fear. It really, really, and it's the ego getting involved. And you put that aside, and, that's just the human stuff. It's not our spiritual stuff.
We have to go to a quick break here, but more with James Van Praagh. And also we'll be talking about James coming to Seattle. Stay tuned. We all seem to have something in our lives that we would like to shift, and there are a myriad of ways to implement change. But many times we try even several approaches and still don't get what we want. Why is that? Well, as it turns out, there are universal principles governing change that you probably haven't heard about before. Principles which determine whether or not you are successful in getting what you want. Follow these principles and you get positive, lasting change. Ignore them and you remain stuck. So if you are struggling in some area of your life, then you are missing an essential ingredient in your recipe for change. Want to learn the key to success? Please join me, Christine Upchurch, on February 15th at the Women of Wisdom Conference in Seattle to learn the vibration of change. Empower yourself in a new way to create the changes you desire. For more information, visit ChristineUpchurch.com. That's ChristineUpchurch.com or call 425-999-9836. I'm Christine Upchurch, and this is a Stellar Reflections Minute. Years ago, when facing cancer, without any immediate treatment options, I sought healing by making various life changes. For a while, I followed a very restrictive diet. I often found myself obsessing about which foods were good and which ones were bad. Then one day, I realized I was consuming foods based on fear of not getting well. But I didn't want to make choices out of fear anymore. I decided it was far better for my immune system if I allowed myself to experience the joy that came from, say, eating frozen yogurt, than it was for me to ingest the fear that came from avoiding it. Now, instead of choosing healthy habits based on fear, I try to make choices because they feel right and ultimately bring me joy and ease. How many of your healthy habits are really based on fear? Please visit StellarReflections.com or call 425-999-9836. That's 425-999-9836.
Serenity Bliss Holistic Spa is a complete approach to wellness. Serenity Bliss offers integrated therapies for whole body health, from facials to massage, from laser skin treatments to herbal wellness, from chiropractic care to energy healing. We work with teens who want to put their best face forward, adults of all ages who want to maintain that youthful glow, and anyone who wants to enjoy vibrant well-being head to toe. Serenity Bliss Holistic Spa is bringing the European approach to restoring natural beauty and wellness here to the Seattle area. Located on the east side off the beaten path, yet just minutes from the freeway. If you'd like to experience the joy of relaxation, skincare excellence, and total wellness, then come experience your Serenity Bliss. To learn more or to schedule an appointment, visit SerenityBlissHolisticSpa.com. That's SerenityBlissHolisticSpa.com. Or call 206-229-0086.
Welcome back to the Christine Upchurch Show here on KKNW and Transformation Talk Radio. I'm having a conversation today with the wonderful James Van Praagh. And, you know, James, on the break, we were having a fun conversation. And one of the things we were talking about is how the world has changed. Now, you're talking about mediumship. You're talking about what happens when we die. And it's almost mainstream. I call it the cutting edge of the new mainstream to just sort of accept these things and to move forward in a more expansive way. What is it about this time that is creating this expansion for people?
Well, I think that there is a natural, if you will, flow, a natural element to a shift in consciousness.
Uh-huh.
And I think that that's what's going on. I think, of course, that was meant to be that way. And I think that's what's actually happening. And I remember when I first started being involved in this sort of work with that medium who predicted what I was going to do.
Right.
He said to me, you're going to help shift the consciousness of the planet. And I thought the man was crazy.
Yeah.
I really moved to California to be a sitcom writer because I'm funny, and I thought, well, that's all I want to do. I don't want to shift the consciousness of the planet. And I thought, how the heck could I do that? And sure enough, he was right, because in my day, there was really no one out there doing mediumship, at least on television.
Right.
It was way before other people were out there. And it was a brand new world, and people were like very skeptical or very like leery of it. But every single person has an experience, whether it's I'm thinking of someone, the phone rings, it's that person, whether they've had a past life dream of the past life experience, or it's these, you have these intuitions. Everyone has intuitions all the time.
Right.
And now they can put a name to it, they can put a label to it. So it's been much more accepted nowadays, and it's just, I the mass consciousness shifts, and I think we're in that shift. And once people accept it, then it changes everything. I remember in days past when herbal tea was the weird thing. Oh, herbal tea, that's so strange. Remember that? Herbal tea was, that's so weird. Herbal tea.
Yeah.
And then, yoga, that's so bizarre, yoga.
Right.
And then meditation, and it's all shifting now. Mindfulness is being much more accepted, meditation much more accepted, and mediumship. We have TV shows like Teresa Caputo Show, and we have this new show, Hollywood Medium, with this young medium who's very good, and it's much more accepting and much more aware. And so I think there's always a shift in consciousness with the Earth. That's why we all came back as light workers, to bring light to this planet. It might take a little bit, 20, 30 years, but it does change.
Right. And to me, one of the things that has helped to create the change is the way we have been stuck, the way things haven't been working. It's like the impetus to begin to expand our awareness and to shift our consciousness and to begin to accept things that we didn't accept before, that, we basically opened up the box and climbed out.
That's exactly right, because old-time religions or belief systems, we're not answering those questions, those deep-rooted questions of the soul. A lot of people are getting frustrated with organized religions, per se, or ways of doing things did not work. So they had to go within. They had to find something else going on. And they saw this commonality, if you will, of what we call intuition, energy, healing. There was something else there, and I think that people recognized that, and I think it was much more fulfilling for them on a personal level and a spiritual level, and it spoke the truth to them. Now, when I first started doing this work, before I went to that medium, and I first went to Los Angeles, I didn't know anything or anyone, but I was walking down Sunset Boulevard, and I came across this building, and it's the Church of Religious Science. And I walked in there, and they were just having a little ceremony, and it was all about the right ways of thinking, that thoughts are things, you have to control your thoughts. And to me, that spoke the language of my soul. I said, I can relate to that.
Right.
And that's when it really started, with the different ways of thinking about things. Not the formulaic religious, per se, but really, and I think, listen, all religions have their of course, their part in it. I think that religions are great if they get people onto their path. I think there's all different ways to get on a path. And I think it's great. I think religions are wonderful as long as they don't instill fear into people.
Oh, that's a great way of putting it, James. I love that. Yes.
Yeah, it's very true. There's a responsibility with religions, and I think, unfortunately, it's changed over the decades and centuries, where the manpower, the human power gets involved, the greed, if you will, controlling the masses, if you will. The more people have died in the name of religion than any other thing.
I know.
And if they would just understand the essence of the religion, really what it's about, and the esoteric studies of religion, boy, it would be a very different type of belief system, if you will, than the organized religions we have.
Right. So, James, I know you're open to spirits coming through and giving you messages. I mean, in fact, I have to tell people on the break, right? I talked about my mother's passing, and then on the break, James said to me out of the blue, "So, Christine, do you have a birthday coming up?" Well, my birthday's tomorrow. And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, your mother was showing me a birthday cake." And it's like,
I never know how it's going to happen, but they use my mind.
Right.
They use my mind. They just open up my mind, and whatever happens, happens. Yeah. I'm not always open, per se, either. So it's so interesting, but there's some people that it just happens.
So is it kind of overwhelming sometimes? Because it seems to me that if the spirits on the other side can find somebody they can talk through, you're going to be a real popular person.
Yeah, they're lined up for me. That's for darn sure. But I learned very incredible, I'd say valuable information when I first started developing as a medium. And the proper way of developing as a medium is really to sit in development, and which that means is sit in the silence, sit in meditation, the silence, and build up the power, build up the essence, build up the esoteric, if you will, the etheric body, and let the spirit people work with you to build up that, and really help you to know when to be receptive to spirit and when to close down. Because it's like a radio. You have to turn on the radio, dial in to to the vibration, if you will, the frequency, and really sustain that frequency in order to connect with the spirit world who are lowering their vibration. You meet in the middle. That's why it's called medium. And you meet in the middle, and then you bring them through. When you finish working, you have to turn off that radio, and you take away that power. Because just think of that, Christine, if it was a fan, and the fan was always on, the motor would eventually burn out.
Mm-hmm,
and that's something about mediums nowadays. I don't think they understand about the proper way of development and opening and closing their energy centers doing the work. And I think that it's something which we have to really, it's a discipline that I really help my students in learning, because it's so vital for your own health, for your own adrenal system, your endocrine system, and also for the spirit people. They'll know when they can come close to and when not to. So
right.
It's very important.
So it's about setting boundaries for yourself, for your own health, and for your own experience here on Earth as a human.
That's exactly right. So I know when I'm going to work, I'm going to open myself up and bring myself up to that vibration and be receptive. And the spirit people know, because when that happens, by the way, when you become open and receptive, there's a light, there's a beam of light which goes into the realms, the spiritual realms, and they know you are ready. They are very aware of you ready. Your guides come close and invite people in, if you will, and then we're ready to work. So, yeah, it's a very interesting thing. But a lot of people think, I'm just going to open myself. That's it. Here I am all the time. It's not the way. That's not the proper development.
Right. And talking about your students and how to develop this, you have created a school, haven't you?
I really have. I've been working on this for a long, long time, and I wanted to leave this as, my legacy. I was given information to understand what mediumship is about and intuition, what intuition is about, and I thought, it's not mine to keep. I have to share it to people, and I thought it would be a great place to do it. So I developed a school. It's called the James Van Praagh School of Mystical Arts, and it is 2 different courses right now. There's a psychic intuition course, and then there's a mediumship course. And each course has 64 lessons.
Oh, wow.
And you get a lesson sent to you via email every week. And there's homework, and there's written work, and it's a real class.
Yeah.
And the assignments. Yeah, one of the assignments, I have people go to a shopping mall or a shopping center and sit and be mindful of the people that are walking around and connect with them with their heart. You don't tell them, but see what light they are. What color light do they emanate? And it's really interesting starting to see things from an energetic point of view.
That sounds like fun homework, James.
It's fun homework. It's real fun homework. I have one of the intuitive exercises of newspaper articles. I just showed them the title, and they have to intuit what the story is.
Interesting.
It's fantastic. So, it's really, really helpful. I've had people from all over the world take the course, from Africa to Australia to Holland to Germany, all over the States. It's been pretty incredible. So if anyone's interested in that, they go to James Van Praagh School of Mystical Arts. I also do Google Hangouts. I just did one last night, and just free webinars, and it's part of giving back and helping people to find themselves, your own soul's calling, if you will.
Right, and I think that this is so exciting that you're passing this on to people and empowering them to do what you have been doing and have such a gift for. So that's great. It's JVP School of Mystical Arts.com if you're interested in that. And we have to go to another quick break, but more with James Van Praagh when we return here on the Christine Upchurch Show.
What is a master soul gardener? With Nomi Bahar, you can be one too. Her revolutionary Gates of Power method is a comprehensive program that addresses every aspect of yourself and gives you the tools to tend to the seeds of your soul's garden. Let Nomi guide you through and beyond what's holding you back and help you embrace the life you've always dreamed of. To learn more about upcoming classes and workshops, visit gatesofpower.com today.
We all seem to have something in our lives that we would like to shift, and there are a myriad of ways to implement change. But many times we try even several approaches and still don't get what we want. Why is that? Well, as it turns out, there are universal principles governing change that you probably haven't heard about before. Principles which determine whether or not you are successful in getting what you want. Follow these principles and you get positive, lasting change. Ignore them and you remain stuck. So if you are struggling in some area of your life, then you are missing an essential ingredient in your recipe for change. Want to learn the key to success? Please join me, Christine Upchurch, on February 15th at the Women of Wisdom Conference in Seattle to learn the vibration of change. Empower yourself in a new way to create the changes you desire. For more information, visit ChristineUpchurch.com. That's ChristineUpchurch.com or call 425-999-9836.
What if your body and mind were the compasses to the secrets, mysteries, and magic of life? Glenna Rice, co-host of The Questionable Parent, is inviting you to access all that is possible. Glenna is a 10-year certified veteran access consciousness facilitator who offers an amazing variety of life-changing classes and workshops. Work with Glenna from anywhere with teleclasses and workshops all over the globe. To learn more and see Glenna's current schedule of events, classes, and workshops, visit glennarice.com.
This is Peggy Snow, practitioner at Stellar Reflections, with a Stellar Reflections Minute. So many people these days are trying to find ways to relieve their stress. What happens to our breathing when we're feeling overwhelmed and stress? When we tune in, we realize that we're either holding our breath or taking very shallow breath to signal the body that all is well, which most of the time it is. Sometimes all that is needed is a nice, deep breath to break the cycle. First, exhale to get all the stale air out by engaging the abdominal muscles and blowing gently. Next, take a nice full breath in, feeling it fill your body all the way down to your hips. Release fully and enjoy the freedom of movement. Notice how your body feels. Do you feel refreshed? Calmness is only a breath away. This has been a Stellar Reflections Minute. For more information about what we offer at Stellar Reflections, visit us at stellarreflections.com or call 425-999-9836. That's 425-999-9836.
Welcome back to the Christine Upchurch Show here on KKNW, WBLQ, CRN, and Transformation Talk Radio. Benny, last week we were talking about some of the countries that had accessed the archives on my website, ChristineUpchurch.com.
Yeah, we had like 20 plus that you rattled off.
Yeah,
Man.
but I actually took a look over the last 3 weeks or so. 65 countries. People from 65 countries.
Wow.
I love the fact that the internet is bringing us together.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that there are people like James Van Praagh who are connecting us to beyond the physical reality
right.
into this other realm. So, James, I know that you're now teaching others to do what you've been doing and also guiding people to sort of reconnect to their soul for the purpose of living a more fulfilling life and sharing their gifts. What advice do you have for people who are on their paths and want to open to more?
Well, number one, it's very, very important that they treat themselves as sacred beings, which they are. And this is a real good one to get people out of a block, in that they have to come back to their own power. They have to come back to their own heart. The soul is tucked neatly behind the heart, I love to say. And it really is the essence of the heart, the energy of the heart, that loving energy, which is who they are and guides them. So the number one, I find, limitation to get back to their truth is when they open up themselves and give away their power to other people. And they care what other people think of them. Oh, I can't do this because someone will think I'm strange or I'm a weirdo or this is not normal, whatever normal is. They have to get out of that mindset, that belief system, because that's an illusion. Every single individual is unique in their soul makeup. So they first have to have the relationship with self and love themselves for who they are and enjoy that. Joy is part of the journey. Journey. Joy is part of the journey.
Right.
And we have to find that joy every single day, whether it's, doing gardening work or enjoying reading or telling a funny joke or, getting a strange haircut, whatever. Have fun with yourself. And when you start having amusement and joy, then you really have an appreciation of that amusement and joy and love in the world around you. And, not only in the school, but I teach this where I have people walk outside the house, and as they walk around, let's say there's a garden in the area, and you have a rose bush. Connect with the rose. There's a life force. There's an energy within that rose. Every living thing has the same energy called the prana, life energy, the chi of everything. Try to connect your life force with that life force. You become the rose. You go deep within that rose petal, the middle of that rose. What world is going on there? And try to feel the commonality you have with the flower or the tree or the grass. Or I have a little puppy, and I'm working with that puppy, and I'm going into the puppy. Because there's nothing that keeps us from each other. It's just our limitation and the human illusion of a body. But really, the soul energy is the same in an animal and a person and nature. So just helping people to attune themselves to that world, not just this own, a self world, but you're part of everything and everyone. Right. So it's hard to have joy in your life and connect with the other parts of the world around you.
Yeah, that sounds like a wonderful way to develop awareness of so much more. James, you were talking about stepping into our power.
Yes.
I think a lot of people either have a misperception of what power is, or one way or another they're afraid of power. How do you define power, and how do people release their fear of stepping into true power?
Wow, great question. Really very Aquarian type of question you just asked me. It's just way beyond. It's great. It's a great question. If you've not been to Australia, Christine, you need to go there because they think along the same lines like you, an Aquarian.
Okay.
So number one is, we all come back and we have what's called karma. And karma really is, I think karma is much the stuff we hold on to. We won't release certain things.
Sure.
And a lot of people like to suffer. They feel they have to suffer, or they're going to be a martyr.
Yeah, been there, done that, ick.
Done that, and the blame game,
Yep.
and the guilt, and I shoulda, woulda, coulda, and they're still living someone else's life instead of their own life. So coming back to your power, the number one thing to realize is you shouldn't blame other people for the experience. It's just an experience. It's stepping back, and for instance, when someone does something to you or says something, instead of jumping, have a knee-jerk reaction, and jumping into it emotionally with reaction, stop, take a breath, go back to the breath, and see it objectively. Okay, why is this person behaving this way? What within them is creating this expression? What in their past history? And we have to separate ourselves from them. So this is not about us. It's about them. So many people blame themselves. Oh, I must be doing something wrong.
Right.
I didn't say the right thing. So we have to separate that and realize it's their stuff, not our stuff. And we have to take our power back. When I say power, I say your sense of self, your sense of loving self, the enrichment of who you are, that you really matter, that you are this pure, loving being energy. And, no one's going to get you. So don't try and expect people to get you. Just get yourself. We also tend to, and I always say, people are afraid of losing control. There are a lot of control freaks out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to behave this way or lose control. I have something to tell people. You have no control. There is no control.
I love it. It's so true.
There's no control. So once we have the realization that there's no control, boy, does not ease up the pressure and the atmosphere around us.
But so, is it a bad thing, James, that we're really not in control?
Well, no, it isn't a bad thing. I'm not going to put a judgment on it. I'm just saying there is no control. You cannot control someone else's life. You cannot control people to behave a certain way.
Right.
But what you can, or how they're going to say things, you can't control that. But what you can control is how you respond to something. So I often say when people ask about karma, I will say, well, how people treat you is their karma. How you respond is your karma.
Right.
Are you going to go on to that energy and fulfill that lower-minded energy and give away your power? Or are you going to stop and say, that's not working for me, and have healthy boundaries and say, okay, I love you for who you are, and that's who you are. It has nothing to do with me, but that's who you are. That's your reality, and that's fine.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you talk about boundaries, because I think that there's just been a whole notion out there amongst the New Age movement that we should be so nice and so giving, and people are afraid to set the boundaries.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think just because you're spiritually, just allow people to walk all over you.
Yeah.
It's just the opposite. We've got to take responsibility for who we are and who they are. And if someone's in my space and say, you know what, I don't accept that, and that's not who I am, or that's not my reality, that's yours, so don't try to push that on to me, and don't try to pull my power away from me. I am this person. And I've had it for years, Christine, with the skeptics and non-believers.
Sure, I'm sure you have.
Imagine the bullets I've taken. And it's a hard one because you're not what they say you are. You're not that reality. You're not nothing what they say. It's just you who you are. That's been frustrating. But I know in myself who I am. And each one of us knows who they are. Whether people get you or not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is you're doing it in the right space, and you're about love and healing. And that's all you have to do. That's all the spirit world asks us. They ask us to do the best you can possibly do, but don't be influenced by others.
So, what is love?
Love. Oh, well, that's a very easy answer. Love. Love, and in an easy way, I could say love is everything. So love is an energy, a vibration, which I think we only see a very small portion of it in this three-dimensional world. But love is that force, talk about power, that keeps us together, that unifies everything, that brings everything together. And that's what love is. That's just one description of it, of course.
Right.
But you can start seeing love in everything. You can see love in the trees. You can see love in people's faces. You can see love in kind acts. Love comes in there are many different aspects of love. And it's so, we human beings want to simplify everything.
Sure.
And sometimes it's just so hard to simplify something, which love is beyond us. Just like people talk about God, we like to make God into a human. I think
right.
God is, right?
With a
God
long beard, yes.
Yeah, the white beard, the whole thing. It's like, oh my gosh, myth. And God is pure love. So God is love, and so I say to people, you are love. So I say, in other words, you are God. Every single person is God. Well, how would you say that? Well, God is love. Love is God, and we are all essence of love.
Right.
So that's what it is. It's an energy. It's a force. It's a togetherness.
I think that people will often talk about love in sort of the romantic sense. Do you think that most of the romantic relationships out there are really about love, or do you think that there are other things that are going on there?
Well, it's really funny you ask me this question because actually next Thursday I'm doing a soulmate connection with people, and many people, exactly, I agree with you, they get caught up with this notion of love as be a romantic type of love,
right.
A partnership, a relationship. Not really. When you're in a relationship with somebody, when you're in a partnership with somebody, you're loving the whole being of them. There's an essence that they have, and it complements your essence. So you're complementing each other, and that's really what a strong relationship is the opposites attract, the different components work together with each other. The two halves become a whole. I think that's what it is. And it's complementing each other. It's not that one is better than the other, one is stronger than the other, one knows more. No, you complement each other in many, many different facets and aspects of your being.
Right. We have to go to yet another break, but more with James Van Praagh.
I
know. Just a few moments. We'll be back. We all seem to have something in our lives that we would like to shift, and there are a myriad of ways to implement change. But many times we try even several approaches and still don't get what we want. Why is that? Well, as it turns out, there are universal principles governing change that you probably haven't heard about before. Principles which determine whether or not you are successful in getting what you want. Follow these principles and you get positive, lasting change. Ignore them and you remain stuck. So if you are struggling in some area of your life, then you are missing an essential ingredient in your recipe for change. Want to learn the key to success? Please join me, Christine Upchurch, on February 15th at the Women of Wisdom Conference in Seattle to learn the vibration of change. Empower yourself in a new way to create the changes you desire. For more information, visit ChristineUpchurch.com. That's ChristineUpchurch.com or call 425-999-9836.
If you're one of the millions of Americans suffering from anxiety, you probably know how powerless and out of control this emotion can make you feel. This is why it is so important to remember that anxiety is created by your mind, which means that you can learn to use your mind to uncreate it. Hello, my name is Dr. Friedman Schaub. My award-winning book, The Fear and Anxiety Solution, provides you with a step-by-step breakthrough process to understand and resolve the root causes of your anxiety and build a solid foundation of confidence and inner peace. If you're ready to take your power back, visit thefearandanxietysolution.com. That's thefearandanxietysolution.com or call 866-903-6463. That's 866-903-MIND.
Have you been seeing numbers like 111 and 222 everywhere you go? Do you feel that the universe may be trying to get your attention, perhaps offering a message of some sort? As it turns out, numerical patterns and certain types of geometry form the very fabric of our reality. from cells under a microscope to the astronomy of our night sky. At Stellar Reflections, we offer special sessions which tap into these patterns, designed specifically to support you on your journey. The 111 and 222 activations are sessions activating new patterns in your energy field, which in turn can help you create new patterns in your life. After just one session with a practitioner, either in person or via distance, clients report gaining greater clarity, becoming more intuitive, and honoring their inner truth as they move forward in their lives. Curious about what these transformational sessions might do for you? Call 425-999-9836 or visit stellarreflections.com. That's stellarreflections.com.
'Cause you're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart. 'Cause you're a sky full of stars.
Welcome back to the Christine Upchurch Show here in KKNW and Transformation Talk Radio. I'm talking today to James Van Praagh, and, I've been reading his latest book, Adventures of the Soul, Journeys Through the Physical and Spiritual Dimensions, and it's really fascinating, James, to hear your perspective on, sort of the structure of the universe, like that can help the human perspective on reality. And I know that you've also got a book that is going to come out in November, I believe, The Power of Love. And you're going to be talking about love on February 14th, Valentine's Day, here in Seattle. Can you tell us a little bit about your presentation at the I Can Do It conference in Seattle?
I would love to, but I have no idea what I'm going to be doing. Because and because it's so funny because I have a set, I'll go on stage and I'll talk a little bit. I'll do a little guided meditation, and then I'll do messages from the spirit world. I'll bring as many messages as I can, but I'm definitely going to do something special about love because it is the Love Day. So something will be love. I was going to throw Valentine's out to people, but I don't know. It's going to be something very special about love. I'm going to use the energy of love. So I'll probably do this meditation, or I call it a mind journey. We're going to use that energy of love, and I'm going to use it in a different way. So I don't know, but that's the spirit world told me. We're going to use the energy of love for that day, and then I'll definitely be delivering messages for sure.
So
that'll be I Can Do It on Sunday afternoon. Yes, I can do it.
Sunday afternoon, and you don't want to miss that.
No, you don't want to miss that because I'm not. That's my first time, my only time in Seattle this year. So.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. You definitely don't want to miss it then.
No, you don't want to miss it. I promise.
There are numerous other people who are amazing. We've talked to Denise Lynn recently, and
love her.
Dr. Joe Dispenza is going to be there, and
love Joe.
Yeah, I love Joe too, and so, but there are lots of others. So you can go to hayhouse.com and learn more about that. And I think it's fabulous that you're going to be here. And I also really appreciate that your approach is just to sort of tune in, because it seems to me that no matter what we want to control in terms of our presentation, that you have to stay in the flow of what the audience needs and where things are at, energetically.
Well, because you go, like I do these programs that are 35 years now, and I find that I'm so Virgo because I'm a Virgo, and I said all these details A, B, C, D, and then I get there, and nothing works that way because the energy of the people is completely different.
Right.
So I just now open myself up, and I'm used by the spirit world any way they intend me to be used that day. So all I know is it's going to be about love, and I'm bringing messages through, and that's. Yeah, I'm being very honest. That's what and I love being like that. I love being spontaneous. We have to be spontaneous.
And do you think being spontaneous is a part of stepping into our power?
Definitely. You got to be open with the flow. Just open to the flow, and that's what spontaneous healing, spontaneous awareness, and just be connected all the time. It's a funny thing because you're spontaneous, but in that spontaneity, you're also connected. You're aligning your soul to spirit. You're aligning your soul to that energetic flow of things, if you will. If you try to control things, you'll block the energetic flow.
Right. So that glass that you were talking about before, that holds the water, it's kind of like getting in a position for that water to fall into the glass as opposed to spilling outside the glass.
Correct. Exactly. But it might be a different, temperature of water. It might look different. Distilled water. It might be a different energy coming in because the spirit world want to use you in a different way. So every single one of us has to be open. Has to really be open to the spontaneity of the spirit, for sure.
Right. So, given what you've been doing for 3.5 decades and the way that you've tuned in and your perspective on reality, what's one of the most important things that we as humans can learn from what it is you've learned?
Oh, great. Well, I wrote a book several years back called Unfinished Business, and the book was about this. I've had so many spirits over the many years come back, and there's always the same message, which is, if only I knew then what I know now, I would have made very different life decisions.
Uh-huh.
And so all life is a series of choices, and all choices are based on two things, either love or fear.
Uh-huh.
And every single day we are given choices to make. So again, step back. Are you using love or are you using fear? The more you use fear, the more you'll never be happy. The more you use love, the more happy you will be. Even if it doesn't make sense, use love. And that's really the awareness that after 3.5 decades of doing this work, and every message that comes through, it's about love or fear. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
Yeah. So, I know that through the many sessions you've done and the readings you do in public and all that there are probably lots of regrets from the other side, right?
Yeah.
Do we make mistakes?
Yes, because there's a schoolroom, and there are many tests that we have to pass. And some souls rely on their, if you will, unconscious, their old self, the old patterns from other lifetimes, if you will, how they're going to handle something. So if you are more aware and have a mindfulness about who you are, and you're in tune with your intuition, which is the soul's language, so the more you're empowered with your intuition and listen to the intuition, the easier the choices will be to make.
Right.
Yeah, because you're following your soul's language. You're following what's right for your soul, and your soul knows truth. Mm-hmm. Your soul recognizes. It's when the human gets involved, that human rationalization, the critical mind, you know this, the critical mind, the rationalization, you screw it up. You mess it up because that's not truth.
Yeah.
Truth is intuition, it's the soul. Very different.
It seems to me, James, that when we get in tune and choose the love, choose the truth over the fear, that inherent in that choice is the letting go of something. Can you speak to a little bit about, the human experience of letting go?
Sure. So when we come back onto this earth as a soul, we bring back all the patterns and experiences of lifetimes, behaviors from before, if you will, and that's what we kind of know and we kind of go to. So when you're able to get into a space of pure love and love somebody unconditionally, first loving yourself unconditionally, you're setting up, if you will, that space to release, to let go of what does not serve you anymore. Mm-hmm. And if we want to truly grow and expand, we have to release the old ways of behaviors, the old ways of looking at things. The past is the past. It no longer is here. The future is yet to be. So all we have is this moment now. Mm-hmm. And if we live truly in this moment now and come from a space of alignment of your soul, the source energy, and be true with love, loving ourselves and loving every single experience that we're going through at that moment, we'll have a very successful life. So in releasing that fear, you're releasing limitation, old ways of thinking, old conditioning, old people's energy, other people's energy from your space.
Right.
We have to release that stuff. If we don't release it, we're looking through filters. We're looking through old stuff. I do every morning, I teach this in my school, every morning I do a cleansing, if you will, with a shower, cleansing the physical body. Then I have people cleanse the spirit body, which is bring golden light into the body, illuminate every cell, every muscle, and let any foreign energy, stagnant energy, a picture coming out of your fingers and your toes with like a gray mist or dark tar going down the drain. And eventually get back to the space, the center of your heart. And then I have people program their day by saying something as if, may God go before me and show me the way, or I am this pure, loving being. And you're setting up a vibration. You're setting up a frequency around you, in the atmosphere around you. And there is a universal law of like attracts like. So you will bring into your atmosphere, into your space, only that of that frequency of love. When people do that on a regular basis, Christine, their life changes completely. It starts bluffing off all those people in their lives who don't truly love them, whether it's friends or family or relationships. People change their jobs because it's an illusion. And when they get back to truth, which is love of self, love, and then they can love one another, they'll see who's really just hanging on to them and not truly loving them. I've gotten rid of so many people in my life.
Yeah, I have
really
too.
Truly loves me. Yeah. And you find when you start doing that and live from truth and love and your own power, wow, there aren't a lot of people there that can get that. So,
and it may hurt at the time. It may there may be pain associated with letting go, but it's really exhilarating afterwards, isn't it?
It's actually very healing. It's a very healthy thing to do, is letting go if that does not serve you anymore.
Yeah.
And letting them go to where it does serve them. Send them off with love.
Yes.
And that's not part of your journey anymore. We got to realize this is a journey. And, you have people in your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime.
Right. Unfortunately, this hour has just flown by. I want to thank you, James, for being on the show today. It's been a joy to connect with you, and I'm so excited that you're coming to Seattle to the I Can Do It conference on February 14th. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sweetheart. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
You've been listening to the Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey. Each week, this show engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more information about the transformative healing work of Christine, visit www.stellarreflections.com. And for weekly topics, visit www.transformationtalkradio.com.